Across centuries, from medieval homesteads to northern longhouses, builders relied on a deceptively simple principle: patience. Timber, the backbone of homes, barns, bridges, and tools, could last for generations, but only if it was seasoned correctly. Seasoning logs was not a quick process. It required careful stacking, observation, and time. Those who rushed the process faced warped beams, cracked planks, and rotting supports, while those who respected the wood's natural pace created structures that endured centuries. The old-fashioned method of stacking and weighting was as much an art as a science, blending careful selection, environmental awareness, and a deep understanding of wood behavior. Today, we explore how logs were historically seasoned, why these techniques worked, and how modern enthusiasts can apply them to craft durable timber for restoration, off-grid construction, or survival projects. Why understanding the natural behavior of wood is the first step. Before any log touches the ground, a builder needed to understand the material. Freshly cut timber contains significant moisture, both in the cell walls and between them. If dried too quickly, the surface shrinks faster than the core, producing cracks, splits, and warping. Historical craftsmen knew that observing grain, density, and species could predict how wood would react over time. Oak, for example, dries more slowly than pine, and straight-grained logs behave more predictably than knotty timber. For modern practice, start by assessing each log for these characteristics, noting which logs are better suited for beams, posts, or planks, and which will require extra care during the seasoning process. How stacking logs properly ensures even drying. Stacking is more than piling timber, it is the foundation of successful seasoning. Logs were historically stacked off the ground, often on stone or wooden supports, to prevent ground moisture from wicking into the timber. Spacers or battens were placed between layers to allow airflow around every log. Orientation mattered too. In regions with prevailing winds, stacks were aligned to maximize ventilation, while roofs or tarps provided protection from rain. Rotating logs periodically ensured that all surfaces dried evenly. Today, you can actually replicate this method with a simple ventilated structure, making sure that logs are supported spaced and, exposed to gentle airflow. Even small-scale stacks for tool handles or planks, well, they benefit from these same principles. Why patience was more valuable than speed in old-fashioned seasoning. Seasoning was really a test of endurance and foresight. Logs could take months or even years to reach optimal moisture content, depending on species, thickness, and climate. Historical builders understood that rushing this process would compromise strength and longevity. For practical application, resist the temptation to use freshly cut timber immediately. Check moisture content regularly and allow logs to rest in a controlled environment until they stabilize. The results are unmistakable. Beams that remain straight under weight, planks that resist splitting, and wood that maintains integrity for decades. How environmental awareness aided historical seasoning practices. Seasoning logs successfully depended on observing the environment. Sunlight, wind, and humidity influenced drying rates, and builders adapted accordingly. In northern climates, logs were sometimes stacked under open shelters that allowed airflow while shielding timber from snow and rain. In more temperate regions, builders avoided direct sun that could overdry surfaces and produce cracks. So, modern enthusiasts can apply the same awareness, monitor weather patterns, provide adequate shelter for drying stacks, and adjust orientation to optimize airflow. Understanding your environment is as critical now as it was centuries ago. Why periodic inspection and minor adjustments were part of the process. Logs were never left unattended. Craftsmen checked stacks for moisture accumulation, mold, insect activity, or uneven drying. Boards or logs that dried too quickly might be covered temporarily, while overly wet timber might be repositioned for better airflow. These adjustments, though minor, ensured uniform seasoning and prevented long-term structural issues. For modern application, you want to inspect timber weekly during the drying period, rotate as needed, and address any moisture or pest problems immediately. Even small interventions can make the difference between wood that fails and wood that endures for decades. How seasoning logs laid the foundation for successful construction and preservation. Properly seasoned logs were stronger, more stable, and less prone to rot, forming the backbone of lasting structures. Once installed, these logs required less maintenance and could withstand environmental stresses that would quickly degrade unseasoned timber. Modern builders, reenactors, and survivalists can replicate these benefits by investing time in seasoning. Whether building a small cabin, restoring a historic barn, or crafting tools, starting with well-seasoned timber dramatically improves both performance and longevity. Why old-fashioned techniques remain relevant in modern practice. While modern kilns and chemical treatments offer speed, they rarely replicate the balance of stability, strength, and resilience achieved through patient, natural seasoning. Old-fashioned stacking and airflow-based methods are low-tech, sustainable, and honestly, remarkably effective. They teach us that craftsmanship is as much about respect for material as it is about skill, and that time invested in preparation yields results that endure far longer than shortcuts ever could. Seasoning logs. The old-fashioned way is not merely a historical curiosity. It is a practical, proven method for producing durable timber that lasts for generations. By understanding wood behavior, stacking intelligently, exercising patience, monitoring the environment, and making minor adjustments, modern enthusiasts can create timber as strong and reliable as that used by our forefathers. If you value practical historical knowledge, survival skills, and the art of long-lasting craftsmanship, make sure to subscribe to Ancient Know-How. Share this guide with fellow enthusiasts and help ensure that the wisdom of old-fashioned timber seasoning lives on for generations to come.